Oh, wait 1 sec. I have to give a little spiel here before you start, okay? Thank you for all for joining us today. My name is Beth Kilmarks, and I will be your Zoom host. Our presenters will start shortly, and this is a reminder to keep yourself muted throughout this presentation unless the presenter indicates otherwise. If you have a question, please use the raise hand feature, which is located in the reactions icon, or type your question into the chat box, which will be monitored by the presenters. We will do a question and answer after the presentation. Please be aware that this presentation is being recorded and will be available for viewing after the conference. Live transcriptioning has been enabled. You can turn it on or off using the live transcript feature. You can change the view by clicking on the view button in the upper right-hand corner of your screen. We recommend the speaker view. At the close of the presentation, I will be putting an assessment survey in the chat box. Please fill out the survey for each session that you attend. And now I will turn my speaking over now to Chelsea, who will take it away.
Thanks, Beth. Hi, everyone. Thank you for coming to our panel. Our panel is It's More Than Just Fun and Games, the Value of a Book Cart Drill Team. Our panelists today are Annie Bertzel, Mac Neese, Mary Rausch, Beth Vizzini, and I am Chelsea Keeler. I will be the moderator.
All right, well, thank you so much for coming to this session, everyone. We're so glad you're here. We hope that by attending our panel today, you have the opportunity to do a couple things, to examine how the formation of a book cart drill team can encourage fellowship and engagement amongst library staff and across the university campus. Consider that a book cart drill team can lead to greater visibility for the library within the community. And best of all, you'll also leave with the tools needed to create your very own book cart drill team.
So every book cart drill team has a beginning, and Beth is going to tell you all about ours.
Well, hi, everybody. Creating a library book cart drill team is something we had been talking about for years, and we finally had a chance to make it come true. We had a coworker, Deanna Moore, who really wanted to create a team. She thought it looked fun, and she is all about fun. So when our homecoming parade last year was announced, we decided that this would be the time to see if anybody in the library was interested in forming a team. Deanna sent out an email in late August to all of our staff to meet outside of the building with a book cart if they were interested. And people showed up, believe it or not. The theme for homecoming was music related. It was the theme was called the Buff Playlist, and we thought this would be a fun theme to play around with the carts. So we had about 8 weeks to prepare for the homecoming parade, and we met every Friday morning for a 30-minute practice. The first 5 minutes consisted of creative discussion, and we spent the remaining time in actual practice. At the first session, we attempted to learn 3 moves, which we actually found was a bit ambitious because not everyone had the same level of experience. So we were also celebrating the 50th anniversary of the Cornette Library, and we were looking for ways to advertise it. So the homecoming parade was the first major university-wide event of the year, so it seemed like a prime opportunity to kick off our celebration. And given the enthusiastic response to our appearance in the parade, it was natural to perform at our 50th anniversary reception in February. Since the Cornette Library was dedicated in 1974, we decided to carry the music theme from the homecoming parade into our performance for the anniversary by taking inspiration from the hit songs of 1974. We also wanted to highlight the move from the previous location of the WT Library to our current building. So our choreography reflected that event, and you'll see that in a segment later. As I said, it was important that our choreography for the 50th anniversary reception tell the story of our move from one library to another, but it was also important that we had fun doing it, and I think we accomplished that. Really, you just need to have fun with it. Tell a story and you can't go wrong.
Thanks, Beth. So now you know about our origin, so let's talk about building the team. Beth, can you also speak to what our goals were for creating the Cartigans?
Yeah, sure. So we had three main goals for creating the Cartigans. The first one was really to make us more approachable to students. The second one was advertising the library to the campus and just really reminding people that we're here. And the third one was expanding our interests, getting out of our comfort zones, and learn something new.
With these goals, what did we hope to get out of building the the book cart drill team?
Well, I think really our main goal was to build camaraderie across departments within the library.
Mac, you expressed some hesitation about team leadership. Can you speak more about the Cardigans figuring out the line between equal leadership and a team lead?
Absolutely. Originally, we intended to run our practices with equal leadership, where each person would contribute, but and we would figure things out as we went. But we were floundering during our first practice, and we naturally realized that one of us had a little bit more performance experience than the rest. That was me. I have a background in music performance. I have a bachelor's in string performance, and a lot of that experience translated really nicely into what we were trying to do. I took charge of practices and figured out how to communicate steps in counting, turn carts easily, etc. Deanna took care of organization, communication, and scheduling. This was largely her vision. She was incredible at communicating how she wanted her vision to look, and I was able to plan how to make that happen.
So collaborating and utilizing skill sets in a unique environment is always tricky. Mac, can you touch on how the team's different skill sets were identified and how those skills were used?
Yes. Each member of our book cart drill team brought a different skill set to the team. As we established previously, I fell into a music choreography performance role because I had a lot of training prior to the working in the library. Library specialists Olga and Carrie Beth are naturally creative and artistic, so they took on decoration and some of the more fun planning elements. Beth and Kelly's expertise are on the inner workings of library events. Expertise in the inner workings of library events was essential in logistics planning. Everyone contributed other valuable ideas, and most decisions were made as a group.
How were the different skill sets utilized?
I think we're on the wrong slide. I think we need to go to the next one. Thank you.
Thank you, Mac.
No worries. I can only speak for myself here on skill sets. I already knew I had difficulty in teaching basic rhythms and beats, and it was a hurdle for me during violin pedagogy. This is a challenging part of transferring the skill. Explaining how and when to do something in time is pretty difficult. For example, when we were performing to music, I would try to say, turn your carts on beat 3 of bar 4. And everyone was very patient with me, explaining that they didn't understand what I meant. And we eventually found that it was better to take cues from specific words in the lyrics. One of my favorite quotes is, music theory is words for stuff you already know. So 4 bars become bumps, and our cart orientation became hamburger hot dog. The most valuable resource I had during this process was the wise words of McCracken and Zayer in their book, The Library Book Cart Precision Team Manual. Without it, I would have floundered completely.
Thanks, Mac. One of the coolest things to see with the Cardigans is the collaboration between the different departments in the library. Mary, how did collaborating on the creation of the book cart drill team bring coworkers together who don't normally interact?
As you said, collaborating on the creation of the book cart drill team brought together staff from all over the library. We also practice outside, so all of us were kind of outside of our natural habitats. Practicing the routine brought together staff who don't usually see each other in their day-to-day duties. And what I really liked about the whole process is we got to know each other as people, hobbies, talents, favorite foods, pets, because we so often think of each other in the terms of our job duties. Coworkers who weren't on the drill team supported us in many ways. They observed from service desks, the second floor of the library, or outside, which could have been an excuse to enjoy the nice weather that we had last fall. Our coworkers offered moral support, constructive criticism, as well as a built-in audience. Our tech-savvy colleagues made recordings of our routines, and this was extremely helpful. Since we couldn't see everything that was happening, you're kind of focused on what you do, but not how it fits into the whole. They set up the sound system for inside performances, which allowed us to do a dress rehearsal before each actual performance.
So our team was full of creative types. Annie, do you want to share how the creativeness in the team transpired?
Yes, I would love to share about that. So in addition to the choreography, there were lots of other areas actually that needed healthy doses of creativity. Matt kind of touched on this earlier, but for both the parade and anniversary performances, we really wanted the cart decorations to tell a story and be functional and cute at the same time. So it was really kind of interesting. Stylistically, the decorations were pretty different between the two events. For the parade performance, we created these really cool fake books out of cardboard boxes and old styrofoam shelf dummies. They really looked pretty convincing stacked on our carts, especially from a distance. If you gave them, more close scrutiny, it wasn't quite as convincing, but they did a pretty good job. And actually, we wanted something that would work well for an outdoor performance for the parade. So Olga, one of our team members, came up with a really creative way to attach the fake books to our carts so that they wouldn't go flying on an uneven, bumpy kind of surface when we were on the road. And so that worked really well. And then for the public anniversary performance, our colleague Carrie Beth actually created these really beautiful flowing gold streamers to jazz up the carts. So the look for the carts overall was a little more streamlined for that event, but they were really classy. They were really fun. We also really got to put our creative brainstorming powers together to tailor our wardrobe choices for the events. For the parade, we really wanted to kind of play up our punny name because, we're the Cartigans. And so we had these fun custom shirts made. I don't know if y'all can see those. And we decided to wear those and then each style those with our favorite cardigan. So we did that and we ordered, yeah, me too, Jillian. We ordered matching gold scarves and also decided to wear our favorite bold, blingy kind of accessories for the performance. I don't know if y'all can see this, but I reprised my disco ball gold earrings for this gathering today. So that was really fun. And yeah, just really all in all, there were just lots of areas that needed creativity, and it was really a group effort to bring that together. So it was really fun.
Thanks, Annie. Mac, do you want to speak about the challenges of creating and teaching choreography for each event? How our safety for our team members played a key role in figuring out what choreography we could do?
Yeah, I am a musician, not a dancer, so this was interesting. But while creating the choreography for our events, we had a lot of creative ideas that we, for one reason or another, were not able to do. We needed to keep the safety of our performers in mind, whether that be the physical demands of the movements or our wardrobe or the cart decorations. Some of our book dummies went flying, so we needed to change the choreography to make sure that the decorations didn't get in the way or that the carts didn't destroy our beautiful decorations. We also needed to plan for what to do in case our equipment malfunctioned. We had multiple cases of wheels falling off. During one of our practice, Annie lost all 4 of her wheels, and during the parade, I lost one of mine. So we needed to have a plan for that. Yeah.
Good. You're feeling better now? Just a little snack.
These are the images taken at our first event, the homecoming parade, on October 14th
Hey, how you
this
doing?
year.
What's up?
This was
All
our
right, I'm looking forward.
Good.
Smile. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm just working on a lot of different things.
Hey, Miss Jory, could you please mute your mic?
Okay, sorry. I will. I apologize.
Yes, these are the images that were taken at our first event. This was our first success. We performed at our homecoming parade after 8 weeks of practice, as Beth mentioned before. We had never done anything like this before, but it was extremely encouraging to see what we had put together, that we had put together something that worked and that our community members enjoyed.
Some of the challenges we faced during the parade were because we didn't account for space during our practices. We just practiced out in front of the street. That's a pedestrian street in front of the library. During the parade, we noticed our formation lost its tight structure that we practiced with. It wasn't as tight as it could have been because we were so spread out at times. Sometimes during the parade, we couldn't see our drum major, Kelly. You can see her in action on the screen there. But we kept our choreography simple, so it was easy for us to keep track of it in our head if we did get lost. We also created little note cards that we could stick on our carts to follow. You can see Kelly has hers in her hand there just in case. And it was just a nice backup plan. We also couldn't allot for the parade timing in our practice. Other groups in the parade were faster while some were slower. There was no set consistency with the marching, which also we combated with keeping our choreography simple. But while we were waiting for the parade to start during the action, it was windy and it was kind of cold. So we had to make sure that our wardrobe kept us warm while we were waiting, but it wouldn't be too hindrance and we wouldn't get too hot when we started to move. Mary, do you want to tell us all the stories about after the parade?
Sure. Oh, yeah. We could hear people cheering us on during the parade. It's the library. Yay for the library. There was a lot of clapping for us as we moved along the parade route, especially when we did our choreography. The Shush and Wiggle move was really popular. I happened to attend the tailgate after the parade, and I was still wearing my cardigan shirt. People kept coming up to me to tell me how excited they were to see us in the parade and how awesome they thought our whole performance was. Choreography, the cart decorations, costumes, and a lot of people were surprised to see the library in the parade. Almost everyone who talked to me thought it was cool that library workers participated.
Yeah, that was great, Mary. I loved hearing all that feedback. In regard to the public reception, so with that decision, several of our staff members actually heard from other WT staff and faculty who were at the parade that they would really love to see more of the Cartigans. And so we thought it would just be a good event to continue the magic with our 50th anniversary public reception.
And that's kind of what happened with the anniversary staff reception as well. I was actually the chair of the 50th anniversary subcommittee that to create a reception for former and current library staff. And as mentioned, this is a different reception from the public reception that Annie was talking about. This public reception was held in February and our staff reception was held in May. And because we got such good reviews at the homecoming parade and the public reception, the whole subcommittee felt like it might be a good idea to do an encore performance for our former staff who weren't able to attend the reception in February.
I would also like to just sneak in here too that during the staff reception, we got to perform for the one and only Jody Thomas. No big deal.
Yeah, it was fun.
Well, thanks, Beth, Annie, and Mary. Mac, would you like to talk about how and why we chose to change the choreography for the anniversary reception?
Yes, our choreography changed drastically between the events in which we performed. Obviously, a parade and an indoor performance are very different. The parade required primarily forward movement. So our choreography was a simple sequence of formations on a loop. The most difficult element of this was adjusting to the weirdness on the fly and communicating our formations, whether the weirdness stemmed from the parade moving too fast or stopping, losing track of the count, or maybe a wheel mishap, perhaps from my cart. You can see this communication by watching Kelly, our drum major, indicate a position with her arms, and we change our position in response. Chelsea, would you like to pull up a video of the parade?
Sure.
don't think we can see
It
it.
disappeared.
Uh-oh. Can you guys still see it?
We can see it now, yeah.
Thank you, Chelsea. So when we decided to perform at the 50th anniversary reception, we realized that the performance would be held indoors. None of the previous choreography that we had prepared would work at all inside the library, but we had just established a baseline for organization and workflow, and we're much more familiar with our carts and our counting. It took a lot of work, but we ended up with a program that we're very proud of. Can you show us that video?
Sure, hold on. I'm sorry, guys. I'm not sure what's happening here.
I think I'm really proud of how that ended up turning out. I'm sorry we couldn't show more. The so how did we approach building a new routine for each event? Um Honestly, we didn't plan enough in the transition. A lot of the routine was figured out on the fly, and we learned it is imperative to get things done early. I procrastinated a bit on getting the music mixed, and it set us back a couple of weeks. We are still figuring out the best ways to approach building new routines. We've only done it twice, and I hope to smooth out a lot more wrinkles. But as you saw, we threw something together. Some of the moves came to us naturally once we knew what we wanted to do, and once we had everything blocked, everything fell into place. The thing that worked really well for us was after some practices, I would draw out the choreography on paper with like whatever utensil I could find. Chelsea, can you pull that up, please? Usually we would figure out a move or two after like during a practice, and then we would try to communicate that to each other. I don't think we can see it yet.
Um, there we go.
Here we go. Here are my scribbles. So after a practice, we would write everything down in this very the way I think and the way I communicate is a little bit elementary school sometimes. But so each of the like letters are our names. So we had kind of paired up. We had a we each were assigned a buddy. Chelsea was my buddy, and the numbers are indicating counts, arrows, and I have some dancing stick figures. I don't know how to dance, but this is kind of how we figured out how to communicate what we were doing to each other and how to remind each other what all of the steps that we needed to memorize were. It worked. Awesome. How did we use a non-traditional outreach initiative to connect with the camp? Oh, wait, this is not the right. How did the Cartigans work through the transition between the events? There we go. It took some time to transition between event types, and we didn't realize how different a timed performance would be from parade prep, but we got there. We learned to alter planning steps for each type of event and guarantee that all work that needs to get done gets done. The parade required a lot of straight lines and distance coverage while remaining easy to remember in a loud and chaotic environment. And the performance was a set length of time to volume-controlled music, repeated no choreography, and was difficult to memorize. It was also a lot harder to communicate to absent performers. That's all on the choreography.
Oops. We had so much fun performing it. It was natural for us to tell everyone about it in our fun. But I'm going to let Beth tell you about how performing with the Cardigans translated into advertising for the library.
Yeah. So we all know that libraries need to market themselves to remain connected with their communities, right? That's a library thing. So we felt that promoting ourselves as fun and approachable in a unique way in university events, as well as library events, might reach some community members that we wouldn't normally reach through the standard WT marketing avenues such as email, digital signage, and social media. So one of our goals in participating in the homecoming parade was to become a presence outside of our physical library to draw people in.
Annie, do you want to tell us about our #1 fan?
Oh my gosh, yes, that's one of my favorite stories to tell. Yeah, we have a couple of fun stories that really kind of highlight what Beth was just speaking to. But so in preparation for the indoor anniversary performance, we usually got together to practice early on Friday mornings when the library is typically more quiet, there's less foot traffic. So one Friday morning, really kind of shortly after the routine had kind of started to gel for us, and we really kind of felt like we knew what we were doing. We had a student who'd come in to print some things, and he just happened to catch basically our entire practice session, and he just absolutely loved it. Like his face lit up while he was watching us. He stopped what he was doing to watch. And afterward, he told us how awesome he thought the routine was. And that was just really encouraging for us to hear, especially at that particular point in time when we were really just kind of figuring things out. You know, I don't know. We really encouraged him to come back for the public reception. I hope he did. I was so focused on trying not to mess up that I don't remember specifically seeing him, but I hope he made it back. And then there was another fun story. So Carolyn, our government documents librarian, told us afterward that she was actually approached by a group of students who said they don't normally come to the library, but they'd seen some posters that we put out and some kiosks that we set up right outside of the building to advertise the event. And they were intrigued. So they decided to come and check it out. And they thought it was so fun, and they really enjoyed the lively kind of fun atmosphere during the event. And they actually told Carolyn that they would remember to use the library more in the future as a place to study and gather, just based on how much fun they had coming in. So that was fantastic to hear. That's exactly what we wanted. So
Yep,
great.
that definitely fit into one of our goals. So that was awesome to hear.
Yeah.
But thanks, Annie. What a great story. So using the book cart as a non-traditional outreach initiative to connect with the campus and the local communities, Book Cart Drill Team is not a traditional outreach type of initiative. These events that we did, the reception and the parade, they served as a good way for attendees to get to know some of our faces, make the connections to the library staff, and I think showing patrons and community members that the library can have fun and it's not only a place to be quiet with your nose in a book helps to slowly remold the library stereotypes. Our hope with this as an outreach method is that it helps people remember the library and think of us in a more approachable manner, which sort of goes back to our goals. Yes, we're a university library, but we're also open to the public. So it's important for us to remind the community outside the library that we are just that. We're open for you guys. Book Cart Drill teams certainly have not been seen here before, and we hope that it leaves a lasting impression and keeps the library in front of people's minds. So now let's ask the $1,000,000 question. Mac, what is next for the Cartigans?
I'm glad you asked, Chelsea. We are actively working on a growth plan right now. We have bigger and more ambitious plans for the Cartigans. I want to make sure we have the resources, planning time, vision, and organizational structure required for that growth. This is an excellent time to make adjustments and solidify how we want to run our rehearsals. We are thinking about competing in some capacity, like the TLA competitions from the early 2010s, or at least would like to make our performances more public. We hope to include more team members and create more flexible routines, allowing members to use other props or rotate roles and responsibilities. We haven't fleshed out the details of this yet, but we are well on our way.
Sorry, guys, it's not working for me. Just a second here. There. Oop. See? Yeah. Okay, so now that we're back on track, what were some of your personal learning goals? What did you learn throughout this process? Beth, do you want to go first?
Sure. I think the benefits I gained from performing with the Cardigans were getting to know my coworkers better and learning something new and having fun at the same time. It was pretty cool. Still is.
Yeah, and yeah, my sentiments pretty much align with Beth's. And I'd also mentioned this a little bit earlier. Being able to get to know the people I work with as people and not just I need you to do this for me, in terms of job duties. And I was also surprised at some of the hidden talents some of my coworkers had. It was really exciting to see those kind of come to the forefront. We had a lot of fun putting together the routines and choosing the music, and everyone in the library contributed to making the Cardigans a success, even if they weren't actually on the drill team. It was very much a whole library effort.
Yeah, I totally agree. That was fantastic getting to know each other better. And for me, I think one of the main things I gained from this experience was just a greater sense of confidence about doing any kind of public performance that involves dancing or choreography, which was not something I had any exposure to really at all prior to this. I was an art club kid in high school, and I never really did team performance or marching band. I was in band, but I was out by the time marching, became an option. So I really didn't have any prior experience with something like this, performing in front of a fairly large group of people. And I had some anxiety about it and definitely had some pre-performance jitters right before we went live, but it was a great experience and I gained some confidence through the process. So
I also gained a lot of confidence in a very different way. I do have a lot of performance experience, but I was kind of expecting to just put all of that on the shelf and maybe forget about it, maybe not, but leave it to outside of my duties as a library specialist. But I learned that my skills are still valuable, and my previous experience makes me a valuable asset to our library. Learning to be confident in leading was an incredible experience, and I trust the people on this drill team tremendously despite only working here for a year.
We love you too, Mac.
Mhm.
A mental challenge for me was forcing myself to get out of my own head and enjoy the team. I think working in a library setting, we're all have a little bit of introvertness in us. So getting out of my head and enjoying it. This cardigan thing brought me so much joy, but it was hindered because I was stuck on what people were going to think about it and think about me participating in it. But what did that matter in the grand scheme of thing? I had a whole team who wasn't judging me for participating. They were having fun. We were having fun. And it was enough validation for me to convince myself to have fun with it. Mac, do you want to go into the contingency planning?
Yes, I do. So the greatest words of wisdom in the library book cart precision team manual, I got the title right, okay, were the warnings to be prepared if something or someone breaks. Mistakes will happen during the performance. Wheels fall off, people don't show up, It's crucial to have a backup plan for nearly everything. We were really lucky that Beth could fill in for Mary when she missed a performance due to illness, and really lucky that Beth and Chelsea were able to scoop up my wheel in the parade. Beth is a hero. I've made a handout to help myself and others plan for the future. Chelsea, can you drop that link, please? This should be a manual if you would like to implement a book cart drill team into your own libraries. This is something I typed up. It's mostly a brain dump of just everything that I could think of that you might want to consider when you're building one of these. I also heavily recommend reading the Library Book Cart Precision Team Manual by wait, where did the authors go? Oh dear. It is on our citation slide. So sorry about that. How do we create a flexible routine? And how are we going to re-include members who have been absent and new choreography that's been added? A major obstacle we ran into was when a member is missing from a practice and how to communicate changes and progress to those absent performers. I hope to grow better at communicating technical changes to absent team members and to create routines that are less difficult to memorize. Our 50th anniversary routine was very difficult to memorize. We also need to create a routine that either has flexible performer numbers or have several members agree to learn the number and act as substitutes. This will be easier to figure out for the parade in the fall, but next spring is going to be where this is really tested. I'm also considering reaching out to the theater and dance professors on campus to ask for their words of wisdom.
Hey, thank you, Mac. Now we have reached our Q&A section of our presentation. You can throw them in the chat or feel free to unmute your mic and we will do our best to answer your questions. Aaron, where did we find velvet pants? That would be the good old Amazon. Tried and true.
I see that Eliana commented about the passing of the books routine, and I wanted to comment on how much I really appreciated that. That was for the our 50th anniversary celebration, and I appreciated how that illustrated sort of the lore of the moving from one library building to the other, because one of our librarians here was a student worker in the library, and she was here for that move, and so she I don't think she's on the is Sydney on our part of this? Anyway, she has told the story of how all the books were moved. So I just appreciated how that was illustrated in the choreography. And I really considered the whole thing, especially the one in for our 50th anniversary celebrations, sort of a ballet, sort of telling a story with movement and music. So I really appreciated how that illustrated how our current library building was established.
Yeah, thanks, Jonathan. Annie, did you want to say something?
Oh no, I just wanted to thank
Oh.
Jonathan too. Yeah,
Oh,
I think that's a great point he brought up. And actually, you know, Jonathan, you were really instrumental too. You watched us perform multiple times and held the sign for our staff reception. So you came in for us a lot and it was great. We really appreciated everything you did for us.
yeah, a whole library effort.
Yes.
Tiana asked if the videos will be available for viewing on YouTube. As of now, they are not, but we can explore that option. I will have to get with the person who handles our YouTube channel. I have a question. Do we want to touch on how we got this whole thing approved through admin of the library?
Yeah, we can do that. Because I'm part of admin, it was a no-brainer. But yeah, things we had to consider. I mean, we had to consider liability if anybody got hurt. Honestly, we had to consider, could we really practice in the library? Because students were still studying here. But you know, everybody put their heads together. We came up with solutions to those what could have been problems, and yeah, it wasn't an issue at all, really. Honestly, when everybody's behind something and you put your heads together, you can really surmount any obstacle, and I think that that's what we did here. It really wasn't an issue with library administration at all. You look at the marketing aspect of it, and it blows everything else away.
Definitely. Chance asked if any dream songs we'd love to perform. Mac, our music major, would you like to answer that one?
I can try. I have a little bit of a different relationship with music than I think most people do, so I don't exactly have a dream song, but the theme for our next parade is WT's Out of This World. So if anyone has any good space-themed suggestions, I would be very grateful for your suggestions. I think I can't even think of anything. There are some songs that I think would be very fun to do, but maybe not be the best for theming or for our library. But of course, if we could do Don Juan, that'd be very funny, but we probably would not do that.
Erica asked an excellent question. How difficult was scheduling practices? I don't want to say impossible, but pretty close. Yeah, it was getting everybody coordinated. I bet Beth and can kind of speak more to
Yeah, I
that.
can speak to that a little bit because Deanna was actually the person who was scheduling. Deanna works in the administration office, and she sent out so many polls and so many Outlook meeting requests to try to get us scheduled. And really, you know, we needed to schedule around the busy times in the library. We needed to schedule around people's meetings. So really, you just have to kind of be dedicated to make changes. We started out with half-hour practices, which I think is actually a pretty good time frame for practices. When we got closer to the events, we tried to bump those up to an hour if we could fit it in a quiet time, or if we could fit it in where people actually had an hour to give. But so if anybody wants to try this, I would start with 30-minute practices and then see where you can move up from there. I don't know. Did that answer the question?
Yeah, I bet it did.
We had how many practices do we have before the parade?
We had 8 weeks, and I think the last couple of weeks we were doing 2 practices a week. Right? Does that
So
sound
we
right?
had like 10 or 12 practices, and then for the reception we had a lot.
Yeah, a lot.
We had a lot. Just to prep for the our most recent practice or our most recent performance, I think we had 5. And that was already with a routine set. We were just double checking that everything was good to go. I think we had 4 or 5. So it's a lot of practices.
Yeah, definitely. I'm going to Annie, did you have something you wanted to say?
Well, I just had a little thought. So in one of our prep meetings before the panel, we were talking about the Out of This World theme. And so we were all convinced there is some song that's like iconic known for having been in Coneheads, because we were thinking how fun would that be? So if anybody in the audience happens to know the really big 80s song that's prominently featured in Coneheads, maybe let us know, because none of us could come up with it, but that's an option.
Yep. Here are our citations. I brought this up in case anybody wants to grab the library book cart precision team manual. Here's the citation for that if somebody wants to copy it down. It was, as Max said, instrumental to helping us.
You know, the other thing we did early on, just if anybody wants to know, is we actually went to YouTube and searched book cart drill team videos. And so I think if anybody really wants to have has downtime and wants to have a fun day, I would spend an hour doing that, but because it's fun. But that actually helped us decide kind of our look, what we wanted to look like, what we wanted to do in terms of choreography. Were there any moves that we could actually replicate, that kind of thing? So that's another way to move forward with it.
Kodachrome or Tainted Love for the Conehead song.
We will definitely listen to those and see, because it was driving us crazy. We kept looking at song titles and thinking, no, that's not quite right. So maybe it is one of those. Thank you, Linda.
A Trojan horse sounds like a nightmare to put together.
It sounds incredible, though.
It sounds amazing.
It does.
Oh my gosh. It's so much work.
I don't know if anybody else. I
know more
don't know if
about
anybody
that.
else is an avid visitor of IMDb, but if you just go to the Coneheads page on IMDb, there's for every movie or TV show, there's a list of the music that's in that movie. So I don't know if anybody else has already gone to it.
That's a great suggestion,
But that's
Jonathan.
probably
Thank you.
whatever
thanks,
song you're
Jonathan.
trying to think of is probably there.
Yeah. Good point.
Well, that wraps up our presentation here. Beth so kindly put the survey link in the chat. Our handout for Mac that Matt created for our step-by-step process is linked in the online portal, the conference portal. We can also email it to you. I posted it here in the chat as well. But thank you for joining our panel. We hope you leave with some motivation and go forth and build your own book cart drill team. You'll have so much fun doing it, and maybe, perhaps, we can get enough teams and we can all compete at TLA. I'm just saying. We'll see what happens. Here's our contact information. I'm sure most of you guys know how to get a hold of us, but just in case, here it is. You can email any of us. We will be happy to help you in any way we can, help guide you. We are here for you, and hopefully you'll challenge accepted. Awesome chance. We'll see you. We'll see you at TLA 2025.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.
Yes, thank you. I'm just going to give it a couple more minutes before I stop recording and make sure everybody is out and there are no more questions. I think we're done. Okay.